When I cast my mind back to the summer of 1936, different memories offer themselves to me. We got our first wireless set that summer. Well, a sort of a set, and it obsessed us. And because it arrived as August was about to begin, my Aunt Maggie, she was the joker in the family. She suggested we give it a name. She wanted to call it Lugh, after the old Celtic god of the harvest. Because in the old days, August the 1st was known as Lughnasa, the feast day of the pagan god Lugh. And the days and weeks of harvest that followed were known as the festival of Lughnasa. But my Aunt Kate, she was a national school teacher and a very proper woman. She said it would be sinful to christen an inanimate object with any sort of a name, not to talk of a name of a pagan god. So we called it Marconi, because that was the name emblazoned on the set. And about 3 weeks before we got that wireless, my mother's brother, my Uncle Jack, returned home from Africa for the first time ever. For 25 years he'd worked in a leper colony there, in a remote village in Rianga, in Uganda. The only time he left that village was for about 6 months during World War I, when he was a chaplain to the British forces in East Africa. Then back again to the grim hospice, where he worked for a further 18 years without a break. And now, in his early 50s, and in bed health, he had returned home to Ballybay. As it turned out, to die. So when I cast my mind back to the summer of 1936, these two memories of our first wireless and of Father Jack's return are always linked. So that I recall my first shock at Jack's appearance, shrunken and jaundiced with malaria. At the same time, I remember my first delight, indeed my awe, at the sheer magic of that radio. And I remember the kitchen throbbing with the beat of Irish dance music, beamed to us all the ways from Athlone. And my mother and her sisters suddenly catching hands and dancing a spontaneous step dance, and laughing and screaming like excited schoolgirls. At the same time, I remember the forlorn figure of Father Jack, shuffling from room to room, as if he were searching for something, but couldn't remember what. And although I was only a child of 7 at the time, I had a sense of unease, an awareness of a widening breach between what seemed to be and what was, of things changing too quickly before my eyes, of things becoming what they ought not to be. That may have been because Father Jack hadn't turned out like the resplendent figure in my head. Or maybe it was because I had witnessed Marconi's voodoo derange those kind, sensible women and transform them into shrieking strangers. Or maybe it was because, during those Lughnasa weeks of 1936, we were visited on 2 occasions by my father, Gerry Evans, and for the first time in my life, I had the chance to observe him.
When are we going to get a decent mirror to see ourselves in?
You can see enough to do you.
You're able to throw this out cracking out.
Indeed you will not, Chrissy. I'm the one that broke it, and to avoid 7 years bad luck, you have to keep on using it.
You can't see a thing in it, Maggie.
Except more and more wrinkles.
Do you know what? I think I might start wearing a bit of lipstick.
Here, this Mac.
Steady on, girl. It's lipstick today and tomorrow the gin bottle.
I think I just might.
Well, it's not now, Kate's not around. Do you want to be making a pagan of yourself?
Yara, sure, I'm far too pale. The old mousey here. You could do with a bit of a colour.
For what?
What indeed? Well, girls, wouldn't that free surface make a fine dress? Jesus, God forgive me.
Will you come to Abyssinia, will you come? Bring your own cup and saucer and a bun. Mussolini will be there with his airplanes in the air. Will you come to Abyssinia, will you come?
bit more like this.
Look, Maggie, look, Agnes, look.
Well, do you know what? But you're right here, pagans, the two of you.
Turn on Marconi, Christy.
I've told you a dozen times, Rosie, the battery is gone in it.
It is not. It worked for me a while ago.
A little bird
See?
told me that you love me,
That you love me.
and I.
Ha! Told you.
That old set's useless.
In case you'll have a new battery back with her.
If it's the battery that's gone in it.
Is Athea in Africa again?
Yes.
And is there a war there?
Yes, I told you that now, Rose.
But that's not where Father Jack was, is it?
No, Jack was in Uganda, Rosie. No, that's a different part of Africa. But you know that.
Yeah. I do. I know that.
Will you vote for David Lera? Will you vote? If you don't, you'll be like Gandhi with his vote. Uncle Ben from Malta last has a wireless up his vote. Will you vote for David Lera? Will you vote? Do you know something, Rosie? The pair of us should be on stage.
The pair of us should be on stage, Aggie.
Chris, what's that son of yours at out there?
God knows, Agnes, as long as he's quite sure.
He's making something. Looks like a kite. Michael! Oh, Jenny, that was the wrong thing to do. And you know what? He's going to have your hair, Chris.
Sure, mine's like a wind bush. Will you wash it for me tonight, Maggie?
Are we off for a dance somewhere?
After I put Michael to bed, what about then?
Oh, I'm your man.
But isn't it an awful pity now there aren't any boys out there to play with?
Now you're talking, we could all do with that, man. Wouldn't it be great if we had... Thought I had Father Jack at the back door. Well, I hope Kate remembers his quinine.
Kate, remember, she forgets nothing.
There's going to be pictures in the hall next Saturday, Aggie. I think maybe I'll go.
Yes.
And I might be meeting somebody there.
And who's that?
I'm not saying.
Do we know him?
I'm not saying.
You'll enjoy that, Rosie. You'll love the last pictures we saw.
And he wants to bring me up the back hills next Sunday. His father has a boat there. And I'm thinking, maybe I'll bring a bottle of milk with me. And I've enough money saved to buy a packet of chocolate biscuits.
Danny Bradley is a Scotch Rose!
I never said it was Danny Bradley.
He's a married man with 3 young children!
And that's just where you're wrong, Missy, so there. She left him 6 months ago and she went to England.
Rose, we're just looking out for you, that's all.
And who are you to talk Christina Monday? Don't you dare lecture me.
Everybody knows Danny
And
Bradley.
I'm jealous too. That's what's wrong with the whole lot of you. You're all jealous of me. He calls me his rosebud, and he waited for me outside the chocolate gate last Christmas morning, and he gave me this again.
Isn't it fish, Rosie?
Isn't it lovely? It's made of pure silver, and it brings you good luck.
Ah, she's lovely.
I wear it all the time beside my miraculous medal. I love him, Maggie.
I know.
My bastards!
Summertime is nearly over. Blue Italian sky up above. I say, mister, I'm your rover. Can't you spare a sweet word of love? Chuk, 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 chucky.
Rose, will you come out there? I've an iron up in the range.
How was I supposed to know that?
Can't you see me? I'm ironing. Rose, Monty, but you're always in the way. Get
Now,
out.
Rose, give me a hand with these now. If we don't make it start, we won't have enough done for next week.
And what are these supposed to be?
Kites.
God help you with.
Watch where you're standing at, Maggie. You're standing on the tail.
Did it squeal, did it? I'll make a deal with you, Cup. I'll bet you 1 penny that those old kites will never leave the ground. Right?
You're on.
I've no riddles for you.
Give up.
What goes round the house and round the house and sits in the corner? A broom. Why is a river like a watch?
You're pathetic.
'Cause it never goes far without winding. Hairy out and hairy in. Lift your foot and stab it in. What is it?
Give up.
Think, wouldn't you?
Give up.
Have you even one brain in your head?
Give up.
A sock.
A what?
A sock. A sock. Lift your foot and stab it in. Do you know what's wrong with you, Cub? You're buck stupid.
Look out, there's a rat.
Where Jesus Mary Golden, where is it?
I've caught you again, Aunt Maggie.
God forgive you, you evil wee brat. I won't forget that, Michael. Don't you worry, I won't forget that. And I had a barley sweet sugar for you.
And were there bits of cigarette tobacco stuck to it?
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, but someday you're going to fill some woman's life full of happiness. Choke, 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 choke. Here, did I make choke? Choke, 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 choke. Choke, choke, choke.
When I saw Uncle Jack for the first time, the reason I was so shocked by his appearance was, well, I suppose I expected the hero from a schoolboy's book. Once I had seen a photograph of him, radiant and splendid, in his officer's uniform. It had fallen from Aunt Kate's prayer book, but she had snatched it from me before I had the chance to study it in detail. It was a picture taken in 1917, when he was a chaplain to the British forces in East Africa, and he looked magnificent. But Aunt Kate, she had been involved locally in the War of Independence, so Father Jack's brief career in the British Army was never referred to in that house. All the same, the picture of Father Jack was the image that was lodged in my mind. But if he was a hero to me, he was a hero and a saint to my mother and to my aunts. They pored over his occasional letters. They prayed every night for him and for his lepers and for the success of his mission. They scrimped and saved for him, 6 pence here, a shilling there, sacrifices made willingly, joyously, so that they would have a little bit of money to send him at Christmas and for his birthday. And whenever a story would appear in the Donegal Enquirer about our leper priest, as they used to call him, because Ballybeg was proud of him, the whole of Donegal was proud of him. It was only natural that our family would share in just a small part of that fame. It gave us that little bit of status in the eyes of the parish. And it must have helped my aunts to bear the shame that mother brought in the household by having me, as it was known then, out of wedlock.
Well, that's what I call a busy man. Come here and give your Aunt Kate a big kiss. And what's all this? It's a kite, is it?
It's 2 kites.
It certainly is 2 kites. And they're the most wonderful kites I've ever seen. And what are these designs on them?
They're faces I painted them.
Oh, good Lord. They put the heart across me. You did those? Those are scarifying. What are they? Devils? Ghosts? I wouldn't like to see those lads up in the sky looking down at me. Hold on now. Do you know what this is? Of course you do. A spinning top. Good boy. And this is a whip. You know how to use it? Indeed you do. What do you say?
Thanks.
Thank you, Aunt Kate. And you know what else I have in here? A library book with coloured pictures. We'll begin reading it at bedtime. Now, call me the moment you're ready to fly them. I wouldn't miss that for all the world. Do you know what is that out there? Did you see Christina? Making 2 kites. Ha, some kites he'll make all by himself, no help from anybody.
You always said he was talented, Kate.
Oh, no question about it. And he's very mature for his years.
Very cheeky for his years, more like. I think he's beautiful, Chris. I wish he was mine.
Is that a spinning top he has? Oh, it's nothing. Oh, Kate, you have him absolutely spoilt. Where did you get it? Morgan's Arcade. And you know what? I'm sure he didn't even thank you for it.
I know why you went into Morgan's.
He did indeed. He's very manly.
Because you wanted to see us in Morgan's.
You know, every field along the road, they're all
Because
out
you
to
have
the
an
hay
ocean
look.
for that all
It's going to be a great harvest by the look
I
of
know
things.
you have. She's blushing, isn't she?
Rose, sit down now and put a hem in that
But
skirt.
what you don't know is that he's going with a wee young king from Carrickford.
Rose, what Austin Morgan
Why
does
are
or
you
doesn't
blushing
do?
then? She's blushing.
Just shut up, Rose, for God's sake.
Anyhow, we always knew you always...
Rose, will you pass me the screen needles, please?
Are you tired? Oh, that road from the town gets longer every day. You can laugh if you want, but I am going to get that old bike fixed up, and I am going to learn to ride this winter.
Manny about Ballybeg.
Ballybeg is off its head, I'm telling you. Everywhere you go, everyone you meet, it's the one topic. Are you going to the harvest dance? Who are you going with? What are you wearing? This year's going to be the biggest ever and the best ever.
God, all the same, I remember some great harvest dances.
Don't we all? Another of those riveting Annie M.P. Smithson novels for you, Agnes. The marriage of Nurse Harding, dear.
Thank you, Kate.
For you, Christina, 1 teaspoon every morning before breakfast.
What's that, Kate?
Cod liver oil, you're far too pale.
Thank you, Kate.
Because you take no exercise. Anyhow, I'm in the chemist, and this wee young one comes up to me. We slip of a thing. I can't even remember her name. Her mother's the knitting agent that buys your gloves, Agnes.
Oh, Vera McLaughlin.
Her daughter, whatever you call her.
Sophia.
Miss Sophia, who must be all of 15. She comes up to me and she says, I do hope you're not going to miss the harvest dance this year, Miss Mundy. It's going to be just supreme. And honest to God, if you saw the delight in her eyes, you would think it was heaven she was talking about. Off its head, I'm telling you. Like a fever in the place. That's the quinine. The doctor said it won't cure the malaria, but it might help to contain it. Is he in his room?
He's wandering about out the back, let's say.
I told the doctor you thought him very quiet, Agnes. Well, didn't you? And the doctor said that we must remember how difficult things must be to him after being away for so long. And on top of that, Swahili was his language for over 25 years. So that it's not that his mind is confused, it's just that he has difficulty finding English words for what he wants to say.
Look, Kate, no matter what that doctor says, his mind is very confused. He can't tell the difference between us. He's calling me Rose, you Maggie, you Kate, and he's been calling you some strange name like...
A cower.
A cowa. That's it. You heard him, Agnes, haven't you?
A cower was his houseboy. He was very attached to him. You know, I think I'm getting corns in this foot. And I hope to God I don't end up crippled like poor mother. May she rest in peace.
Do you know what now? Wouldn't it be good one now if we all went
Went where?
to the harvest dance?
Aggie.
Just like we used to. All dressed up. Do you know what? I think I'd go.
I go too, Aggie. I go with you.
For heaven's sake, Agnes, you're not serious, are you?
I think I am.
Ha! There's more than belly bag off its head.
I think we should all go.
Have you any idea what it'd be like crawling with cheeky young brats that I taught years ago?
I'm game.
And all the riffraff of the countryside.
Absolutely game.
We couldn't, Agnes, could we?
What you say?
You have a 7-year-old child, have you forgotten that?
You could wear that blue dress of mine. You have to figure for it, Chris. It sure brings out the colour of your eyes.
Could I have it, Aggie, really? Oh, God, girls, I just love to dance. I could dance all night. I could dance all week. I could dance all year.
Who look after Father Jack?
And you look great in that cotton dress you got for the confirmation last year. Sure beautiful in the
This
case.
is silly talk,
And sure
Agnes.
can't you take my brown shoes then with the crossover straps?
Oh, this is... we can't, Agnes. It's silly talk.
Will Maggie, will Maggie what? Try and stop that lady.
Oh, maybe we're mad. Are we mad?
Well, it costs 4 and 6 to get in.
There should I £5 each. I'll take you. I'll take us all.
Oh, hold on now.
And for God's sake, how many years the princes were at the harvest dance? At any dance. But you know what? I actually don't care how drunk and dirty and smelly and smelly and sweaty they are. It's a festival of lunacy, Kate. I'm only 35 and I want to dance.
I know, Agnes. I know. I do know. But all the same...
It's just sick. It is sick. We're going. The munchkins. All 5 of us together.
Like we used to.
Like we used to.
I love you, Aggie. I love you more than chocolate biscuits.
When you come to this in your
No. We're going nowhere. Look at yourselves, will you? Just look at yourselves. Dancing at our time of day. That's for young ones with no responsibilities and no obligations and nothing in their heads but pleasure.
Okay, please.
Do you want the whole countryside to be laughing at us? Women of our years, mature women, dancing. Look,
Kate,
and this is Father Jack's home. And we must never forget that, ever. No, we're going to no harvest dance.
But Kate, you just said...
And the matter is over. I do not want it mentioned again. That's the end of it.
The fox is back.
Did you see him?
He's a whole chewed in the hen house door.
Did you get a look at him, Aunt Maggie?
Sure, wasn't I talking to him? And wasn't he asking for you?
What's that you have in your hands?
Something I found.
What?
Sitting very still at the foot of the holly tree.
Show me.
Say please 3 times.
Please, please, please.
In Swahili.
Are you going to show it to me or are you not?
Okay, come over here. Put your ear up there. That's it. Listen. Shh. Do you hear it?
I think so, yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure, Aunt Maggie. Show me.
Right. Are you ready? Get back a bit. A bit further back. Right? Ready?
Yes. What was it?
Did you see it?
I think so, yes.
Wasn't it wonderful?
Was it a bird?
The colours are so beautiful. Trouble is, you only get one quick glimpse. And if you miss that, that's it.
What was it, Aunt Maggie?
Don't you know what it was? It was all in your mind. Now we're quits.
Tea, Indian meal, soap, jelly.
I'm sick of that white rooster of yours, Rosie. Some pig that is. Look at the lumpage you go to my arm.
You don't speak to him, right?
I know the speaking I give to him, the weight of my boot. Put some tough in the fire, Aunt Chrissy, I'm going making soda bread.
Right, you, Maggie. Watch out, she's in one of her cranky moods.
Your 10 wild woodbine, Maggie.
Oh, great, the tongue's out a mile.
You missed it all, Maggie.
What did I miss this time?
We were all going to the harvest dance, like the old days, and then
Your shoes, Rose. The shoemaker says whatever kind of feet you have, only the insides of the soles wear down.
is that a bad thing?
That is neither a bad thing nor a good thing, Rose. It's just distinctive, as might be expected. Corn flour, salt, tapioca. It's gone up a penny for some reason. Sugar for the bilberry jam, if we ever get the bilberries.
Will you look at the packet of wild woodbines she got me?
What's wrong with them?
There's only 9 in it. They're so wild that one escaped her.
Maggie, doesn't Jack sometimes call you a cow as well?
Yes, what does that mean?
Well, Kate was saying that a cow was his houseboy.
Ah, damn it. I thought it was Swahili for gorgeous. Well, that's the very thing we could do here, which is a wee houseboy.
And the battery. The man in the shop said we go through these things quicker than anyone in Ballybeg. Good for us. I met the parish priest today. I don't know what has happened to that man, but ever since Father Jack came home, he could hardly look me in the eye.
That's because you keep winking at him, Kate.
Yeah, no, he was always moody, Kate.
Maybe that's it. Paper, candles, matches. Oh, the word's not good on that young Sweeney boy from the back hills. He was anointed last night.
I didn't know he was dying.
Not an inch of his body that isn't burned.
Does anybody know what happened to him?
Some silly prank up in the hills. Oh, he knows he's dying, the poor boy. He just lies there moaning.
What sort of a prank, Kate?
How would I know?
Well, what should I say down the town?
I know no more than I've told you, Christina.
It was last Sunday week, the first night of the Festival of Lughnasa, and they were doing what they do every year up on the back hills.
Festival of Lughnasa. What sort of...
First they light a bonfire beside a spring well, then they dance around it, then they drive their cat and shoot a flame to banish the devil out of
Banish
it.
the devil out of it. What sort of...
And this year there was an extra big crowd of boys and girls, and they were off their heads with drink, and young Sweeney's trousers caught fire, and he went up like a torch.
Filled
That's
your
what
head.
happened.
That nonsense, Rose.
This year's evidence, I'm telling you, that's what happened.
And they're savages. I know those people from the back hills. I've taught them. Savages is what they are. And what pagan practices they have are no concern of ours. None whatever. It's a sorry day to hear talk like this in a Christian home, a Catholic home. All I can say is I'm shocked and disappointed to hear you repeating rubbish like that, Rose.
That's what happened, I'm telling you.
All the same, to be very handy in the winter time to have a wee houseboy to feed the hens. Chug, 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 chug. Chug, 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 chug.
I beg your pardon. Wrong apartment. Forgive me.
No, come in, Jack, and join us.
May I?
You look wonderful, Jack.
I expected to enter my bedroom through what I'm missing, what I require. I had a handkerchief in my pocket, and I think perhaps.
Here's a handkerchief, Jack. Here you go. Here you are.
Thank you. You're most kind. It's very strange. I don't remember the architecture, the planning. What's the word? The layout. I don't recall the layout of this house, scarcely. It's all so strange. I thought the front door was... You walked to the village to buy stores, Agnes.
It's Kate, and dozens of people were asking for you.
They remember me?
Of course they remember you. And when you're feeling better, they're going to have a great public welcome. Flags, bands, speeches, everything.
Why would I do that?
Because they're delighted you're back.
Yes?
They're delighted you're home.
I'm afraid I don't remember them. I couldn't name 10 people in Ballybeg now.
Don't worry, Jack. That law starts to come back to you.
You think so?
Yes, it will.
Perhaps. I find the climate so cold.
Why don't you lie down for a while, Jack?
Thank you. Perhaps I'll do that. You're most kind.
It'll be a slow process, but he will be fine. Apples, butter, margarine, flour. Oh, and wait till you hear. Who did I meet in the post office? Maggie, are you listening to me? Yes. You'll never believe it. Your old pal, Bernie O'Donnell, home from London. First time back in 20 years. Bernie? Absolutely gorgeous. The figure of a girl of 18, dressed to kill from head to toe, and the hair as black and as curly as the day she left. Bernie O'Donnell, oh my goodness. And beside her, two of the most beautiful children you ever laid eyes on. Twins, they'll be 14 next month. Oh, and to see the three of them together, like sisters, I'm telling you. Twin girls? Identical. Identical. Nora and Nina.
Mother used to say twins are a double blessing.
Bernie O'Donnell, oh my goodness.
And wait till you hear. They are pure blonde. Where in the name of God did they bring the blonde hair from? I asked her. From the father, Eric. He's from Stockholm.
Stockholm?
Where's Stockholm, Maggie?
So there you are. Bernie O'Donnell married to a Swede. Well, I couldn't believe my eyes. But the same, laughing, happy, bubbly Bernie, asking about everybody by name. And did she remember us all? Knew all about Michael, had his age to the very month. Was Agnes still the quickest knitter in Ballybeg? Were none of us thinking of getting married? And weren't we wise?
Did she remember me?
Rose had the sweetest smile I ever saw.
Oh.
There. But especially asking about you, Maggie. How you were doing, what you were doing, how you were looking. Were you still as light-hearted as ever? She said that every time she thinks of you, she has this memory of the two of you, hiding behind a turf stack, passing a cigarette between you, and falling about the place laughing about some boy called, oh, what was it now? Curly somebody?
Curly MacDade. I need you, little fella. Bald as an egg at 17. Bernie O'Donnell, oh my goodness.
Will she be around for long?
No, leaving tomorrow.
Ah, that's sufficient. What's there also?
Nice names though, weren't they? Nina and Nora.
I like Nora. It's a nice name, a strong name.
Not so sure about Nina now. Do you like Nina for a name, Chris?
Nina? Not a lot actually, no.
Well, there's a Saint Nina. I'm afraid she's not in my prayer book.
Maybe it's a Swedish saying.
Saints in Sweden, what'll it be next?
Mother used to say twins are a double blessing.
You've offered that cheap wisdom already, Rose.
Maggie, bit of flour there on your nose.
I remember when I was 16, I slipped out one Sunday night. 'Twas this time of the year, the beginning of August, and me and Bernie met at the gate of the workhouse. At the time, I was pestered by a fella called Tim Carling, but it was Brian McGuinness that I was keen on. Do you remember Brian? With the white hands and the longest eyelashes you ever saw. But it was Bernie he was mad about. Anyhow, the boys took us on the bar of the bikes, and the four of us headed off to Straw. 15 miles each way. If Daddy had known. May he rest in peace. Well, at the end of the night, there was a competition for the best military two-step, and it was down to 3 couples. The local pair from Straw, wee Timmy and myself, Timmy was up to there and me, and Brian and Bernie. They were so beautiful together, so stylish. You couldn't take your eyes off of them. People often stopped dancing and gazed at them. Well, when the judges announced the winners, they were probably blind drunk. Naturally, the local couple came first. Wee Timmy and myself came second, and Brian and Bernie came third. Bernie was stunned. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't talk. She wouldn't speak to any of us for the rest of the night. She wouldn't even cycle home with us. But anyway, I didn't blame Bernie for being angry. They were so beautiful together, so stylish. But that was the last I seen of Brian McGuinness. And the next thing I heard, he'd left for Australia. I don't blame Bernie for being angry. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair at all. Them judges must have been blind drunk, whoever they were.
Is it working now, Christina?
What's that, Kate?
Marconi.
Marconi, my friend, let me see. Marconi. Your head's gone again. Will you have a look at it, Agnes? Sometimes you're good with it.
Feel the top of it, is it warm?
Roasting.
Should turn it off now and let it cool down.
That's a bloody useless heap of junk. There is no need for calling a boy language, Christina.
But like, to be honest now, there must be some reason why it's overheating.
Because it's a goddamn bloody heapless junk. Agnes, and that's the reason.
Goddamn bloody useless.
All Wellingtons, absolutely necessary on a day like today, Rose.
Well, I've only got my Wellingtons and my Sunday shoes. And it's not Sunday, is it, Kate?
Oh dear, we're suddenly very logical, aren't we?
Well, I don't know about you girls, but this Ginger Rogers has seen better days.
It's those cigarettes, they're killing you.
Oh. Wonderful wild woodbine. The next best thing to a wonderful wild man. Want a drug, Kitty?
Will you go and wash your face, Maggie? And for goodness sake, will you tie those shoelaces?
Yes, miss. Where's Michael, Chrissy?
Out the back there somewhere, Maggie.
He's not there now.
He's all right.
He was there 10 minutes ago.
He's out the back there somewhere, Maggie.
What about if he went down to Norway?
Maggie, leave him alone. For once in your life, he's out the back minding his own business. Who's making the tea this evening?
Sure, who makes the tea every evening?
The connection seems to be all right in it. Will you please take that surplus off you, Christina? Maybe it's a valve that's gone it. If only I knew what a valve was. Have you no sense of propriety? Well, if you ask me, I think we should just throw that bloody heapless piece of junk out.
Oh, I'd be all for that. Just pure junk. That's
Pure
it.
junk. And you'll buy a new one, will you?
Well, it was never any good.
Oh, you'll buy it out of your glove money, will you? I thought what you and Rosa knitting gloves was barely sufficient to clothe the pair of you.
This isn't your classroom, Kate.
Because I certainly don't see any of it being offered up for the upkeep of the house.
Ah, please, Kate.
But now, it stretches to buying a wireless. Wonderful.
I make every meal you sit down to every day of the week.
Oh, maybe I should start knitting gloves.
I wash your clothes, polish your shoes, make your bed. We both do, Rose and I. Cut the grass, save the turf, paint the house. But you have here, Kate, are two unpaid servants.
And do you know what your nickname is in school? The Gander.
The Gander.
Everybody calls you the Gander.
Come here, lads. Do you see who's coming up the lane?
Who's coming?
Well, I'm not quite certain, but I'm sure
Who is it?
it looks like Gerry Evans, Chrissy.
Jesus Christ! How dare!
He's at the bend of the lane.
How dare Mr. Evans show his face here?
Well, he came to see his son, didn't he?
He's no business coming here upsetting
We have to give him his tea.
Well, I don't see why we should.
And we've not been in the house.
No business coming at all, upsetting everybody.
You're right, Kate, I hate him.
Have you paid the shoelaces
Oh,
anybody?
look at the state of the floor.
Where's my woodbine go?
Kate, you won't stay to anything.
He most certainly will not stay the night in this house.
Jesus Christ!
You really can't there, Aggie, or it's
Listen,
fine.
everybody, just be very calm. Behave quite normally. And Rose, will you stop keeping out?
There's nobody coming at all.
Will you let me see?
You imagine it all, Maggie. There's nobody there at all.
No, Maggie's right. Look, there he is.
Show me.
Has he a walking stick?
Yes.
And a straw hat?
Yes.
Oh, that's Mr. Evans, all right.
Yes, look, there he is. There he is.
Oh, God, look at the stationery. What will I say to him? How close is he?
I just couldn't look at that man in the face. I just hate him.
Kate, that is a very unchristian thing to say, Rose. There's no luck in talk like that. Look at the stationery, Kate. I'm shaking. You are not shaking. You are not shaking. You are perfectly calm. And you are looking beautiful, okay? And here's what you'll do. You'll meet him outside, and you'll tell him that his son is healthy and happy. And then you'll send him packing. Yourself and Michael are managing quite well without him, as you always have. Okay? Oh, of course. Ask the creature in, and give him his tea. And let him stay the night if he must, but in the outside loft and alone, okay? Now I brought a paper home from town. Did anyone see where I left it?
Where is he, man? Look, he's out in the garden. Look.
Agnes, did you see where I left the
It's
paper?
all in the tough box, Kate.
Hello, Chrissy. Great to see you.
Hello, Gerry.
Well, how have you been for the past 6 months?
13 months.
13 months, never.
July last year, Gerry. July the 7th.
Oh, where does the time go? 13 months, wow. You know, a dozen times, 2 dozen. I plan to make a visit, but Something came up and I couldn't get away.
Well, you're here now.
Yes, certainly am, and that was a bit of good fortune too. Last night in a bar in Sligo. The chappie next to me mentions he's off to Ballybeg in the morning. Well, Ballybeg, said I, something familiar about that name, and so here I am, in the flesh, as a matter of interest. Wasn't that good luck, Chrissy?
Indeed.
And the chappie just let it slip, and now here I am. Oh yes, Chrissy, wonderful luck.
Yeah, very good.
Looks terrified, the poor fella. Come over, you see, Maggie.
Terrified my foot.
Do you know what he could do with a good meal?
I'll give him 3 minutes, and if she doesn't punch him, I will.
You look wonderful, Chrissy. Really great. Terrific.
Ah, jeez. The hair is like a wind bush.
Ah,
Maggie's going to wash for me tonight.
well, it looks lovely to me, Chrissy. And tell me, how is Maggie?
She's well, thank you.
And Rose and Kate.
They're fine.
And Agnes. Do tell me, how is Agnes?
Agnes is grand.
Do tell Agnes I was asking for her, yes?
Indeed.
I couldn't come in, the schedule is a bit tight today.
The place is in a bit of a state anyway, Gerry. Better
Yes.
off, better off.
You know, the chappie who gave me the lift told me, Father Jack is home.
Home a few weeks now, yes?
All the way from Africa.
All the way from Africa.
Safe and sound.
Safe and sound.
Oh, it's terrific. Lucky man.
Indeed.
You know, I must take up some exercise, Chrissy. I've put on a bit of weight.
He's not still there, is he?
Yes.
Doing what in God's name?
Talking.
Will somebody please tell me what they have to say to each other?
He is Michael's father, Kate.
That is a responsibility that never burdened Mr. Evans.
A commercial salesman called to Kate's school last Easter, Gerry, and he had some silly story of you, Gerry Evans, giving dancing lessons.
He was right.
Gerry,
Oh, last winter.
seriously, Gerry,
Crossed the old ticker.
what sort of dancing?
It was strictly ballroom. Oh, as you should have been giving the lessons, Chrissy. You were always far better than me. Don't you remember? Oh, yes, I enjoyed that. That was fun while it lasted.
Let me get this straight, so Gerry. People came to you to be taught.
Well, don't look so surprised, Chrissy. Everybody wants to dance. I had thousands of pupils. I had millions.
Gerry.
Well, I had 53. I'm a liar. 51. Yes, and when the good weather came, they all drifted away. Shame, really, because I enjoyed it. But I have just started on a completely new career, Chrissy. I have never been busier. I am now a gramophone salesman. Agent for the whole country, if you don't mind. Minerva Gramophones, the wise boy. Oh,
Sounds good, Gerry.
oh, it's fabulous. All I have to do is take the orders, pass them up to Dublin. Oh, it's a big enterprise, Chrissy. One very big enterprise.
And it's going all right for you.
Oh, it's unbelievable. The wholesaler can't keep up with me. Do you see this country, Chrissy? This country is gramophone crazy. Give you an example. Day before yesterday, just east of Sligo, I see a little house upon the side of a hill. Something seemed just right about it, you know. So, off the bike, up the lane, knocks. Out comes this enormous chappie with red hair. Now, why are you laughing, Chrissy?
Gerry.
I promise you, I show him my brochures. We talk for about 10 minutes, and just like that, he takes 4. 1 for himself, 3 for each of his married daughters.
He bought 4 gramophones off you.
Well, he took 4 brochures, but he'll buy, Chrissy, I promise you he'll buy. You know, people said when the radios came in that the gramophones were finished. But they were wrong, Chrissy. I'll tell you why they were wrong. In my experience, don't look now, but he's watching us from behind that bush.
Michael.
Oh no, just act normally. Pretend you don't see him. Is this all his stuff?
He's making kites, if you don't mind.
Unbelievable. You know, I got a glimpse of him at the foot of the lane. He's just enormous, Chrissy.
He's at school now, you know, Gerry.
Really? Since when?
Last Easter, Kate got him in early.
Wow, wow, wow. And does he like it?
Here, he doesn't say much about it, really.
Oh, he loves it. He adores it. They all love school these days. Oh, and he'll be brilliant at it. Actually, I meant to bring him something small.
Oh, no. His hands have been absolutely spoiled, Gerry.
Just that token, Chrissy. I I was looking at a bicycle in Kilkenny as a matter of interest, but he only had it in green, and I thought black would be more manly, you know. But they took my name and all. I'll pick it up next time I pass. And you're busy yourself, Chrissy?
You know yourself. The cooking, the cleaning, the washing, looking after his lordship.
Wonderful.
I give Agnes and Rose a hand with the odd knitting the gloves, the odd bit of sewing. Actually, Gerry, now that I say that, 'tis an awful pity you don't sell sewing machines.
Well, there's an idea, Chrissy. We could simply do the two jobs together. Oh, you've the most wonderful business mind, Chrissy. Never met anything like it, Chrissy. Why are you laughing, huh?
You should see the way she looks at him. You swear he was the biggest top in the world.
Tinker more likely. Loafer. Wastrel.
Well, she knows all that too, Kate.
Two. That's all there is.
Come over here and you see Maggie.
Not just now.
You'll never guess what I met on the road out of town.
Go on.
I met a cow, Chrissy.
Imagine.
I met a cow with a single horn coming straight out the middle of its forehead.
You hardly
As
did.
God as my judge, walking along all by itself, nobody near it. And as I was passing, it stopped, and it looked me dead in the eye.
That was no cow you met, Gerry Evans. That was a unicorn.
Ha, go ahead and mock, but I know what I saw. A unicorn has the body of a horse. This was a cow. A perfectly ordinary brown cow, except it had a horn. Right here. Would I tell you a lie?
Yes.
Go ahead and laugh. But I know what I saw. Oh, it's a good omen. It must be good luck.
Indeed.
A cow with a single horn? Of course it's a good omen. How many cows like that have you seen, huh?
Thousands. Millions.
Stop that. It must be the only one of its type in Ireland. Perhaps it's the only one of its type in the world.
Imagine.
I met it on the road to Ballybeg, and it winked at me.
Oh, Jesus, you never mentioned that now.
I never mentioned what?
That it winked at you.
Oh, yes. That's what made it all so mysterious, you see. Oh, yes, it's a fabulous omen. Maybe this week I'll sell a gramophone or two after all. Huh?
But I thought you said that you
Oh,
were
look,
selling...
single bagpipe, Chrissy, definitely a bad omen. One for sorrow. Bang! I missed. Ha. Where's my lucky cow now, huh? Come back, brown cow, come back.
They're not still talking, are they?
Laughing. She laughs all the time she's with him. Do you hear them, Maggie?
Yes.
Laughing. Absolutely beyond my comprehension.
Like so many things are, Kate.
Laughing. 2 more minutes, and Mr. Evans is going to talk to me. Laughing.
I'm thinking of going away for a while, Chrissy.
Are you going to go home to Wales, Gerry?
Wales isn't my home anymore. My home is here. Well, I mean in Ireland. No, I'm off to Spain, as a matter of interest.
Are you going to Spain to sell gramophones?
Good God, no. Well, to do a spot of fighting, believe it or not. With the International Brigade. Company leaves in a few weeks. Yes, a bit ridiculous, isn't it? But you know old Gerry when his blood gets up, huh? Bang, 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 and missing everybody.
Are you serious, Gerry?
Well, I'm a bit surprised myself, as a matter of interest.
But what do you know about Spain?
Not a lot, Chrissy, but maybe enough, you know. And I fancy trying something worthy for a change. Give Evans a big cause and he won't let you down. It's only everyday stuff that he's not so successful at. You know, he's still watching us. He thinks we can't see him. You know, I wouldn't mind talking to him, Chrissy.
Oh. He's a bit shy.
Well, he would be naturally. I am a stranger to him practically. Does he know my name?
Of course he knows your name, Gerry.
Well, that's good. Thank you for that. He's a very handsome child with your eyes, Chrissy. Lucky boy.
Sit on you, Maggie. What you do, Tit?
Touch it.
Will you turn that thing off, Aggie, please?
You do have a gramophone. I could have got that for you wholesale.
It's a wireless set.
Oh, very posh.
You're a heap of junk, really. Agnes says we should just throw it out. Turn it on and off the whole time.
Well, I know nothing about radios, but I could have a look.
No. Next time you're here. Next time, Gerry. Next time.
The whole day through.
And Agnes as well.
Old sweet
Indeed,
song keeps.
You know, of all your sisters, it always seemed to me like Agnes objected this to me.
George,
You tell her I was asking for her, yes?
I will, Gerry.
Ah,
each day,
oh, that's a good tune. This.
George Money, a song of you.
Gerry!
Oh, don't talk.
Gerry, they're watching
Not
us!
a word.
Gerry, they're watching us in the kitchen window!
Oh, who is?
Agnes!
Oh,
And Kate!
I'm Rose.
And Maggie!
I'm Father Jack.
They're watching us,
Oh,
Gerry!
better still, terrific.
They're dancing. What? They're dancing together.
God forgive you.
He has him in his arms.
He has not the animal.
Come in and see, Maggie. He's like dancing around the garden.
I'm busy. For God's sake, can't you see I'm busy?
For God's sake, would you look at that fool of a woman?
Oh, isn't he a beautiful dancer?
Leaving her astray again, Maggie.
Look at her face. She's easily led.
Oh, her whole face alters when she's happy, doesn't it? They're such a beautiful couple together. She's as beautiful as Barney O'Donnell any day, isn't she?
Don't you know the words, Chrissy?
I never know any of the words, Gerry.
Well, that is not important. This is what's important. Will you marry me, Chrissy? Well, didn't you hear me? Will you marry me when I return in 2 weeks?
I don't think so, Gerry.
I'm mad about you, Chrissy. You know I've always been mad about you.
When you're with me, Gerry.
I leave this old house. Come away with me.
Would you walk out of me again, Gerry Evans? You wouldn't intend so, but that's what would happen. Because that's your nature, Gerry. And a man like you just can't help himself.
But not this time, Chrissy. This
Stop
time.
it, Gerry. Stop it. No more talking, no more words. Just dance me down the lane and then you'll leave as you came.
But Chrissy, the
Gerry,
omens.
Gerry.
The omens are fabulous this time. The omens are unbelievable this time. Chrissy!
They're away, dancing.
Well, whatever is wrong with it, it only goes for a few minutes at a time. It must be the way it heats up or something.
We probably won't see Mr. Evans now for another 12 months, until the humour suddenly takes him.
He has a Christian name, you know.
And in the meantime, it's Christina's heart that gets crushed. That's what I mind. But what really infuriates me is that that creature has no sense of ordinary duty. Does he ever wonder how she feeds and clothes Michael? Does he ask her? Does he care?
Do you know what? I'm going out to get a bit of fresh air. A pain in my head all day long.
It seems to me the beasts of the field have more concern for their young than that creature does.
Do you ever listen to yourself, Kate? Do you know what? You're one damned righteous bitch. And his name is Gerry. Gerry! Gerry!
Then what was all that about?
Who's to say?
Don't I know his name is Gerry? What am I calling him? St. Patrick?
But she's worried about Chris too.
See? That's what a creature like Mr. Evans does. He appears out of nowhere and he suddenly poisons the atmosphere in the whole house. God forgive him, the bastard! There! That's what I mean. Oh, God forgive me.
It was on the Isle of Capri that he found her, beneath the shade of an old walnut tree. I can still see the flowers blooming round her, where they met on the Isle of Capri.
Well, if you knew the words of your prayers, as well as you know the words of those old pagan songs. Oh, she was right. I am a righteous bitch, aren't I?
She was as sweet as a rose at the dawning, but somehow fate hadn't meant it to be. And though he sailed with the tide in the morning, now his heart's still in the Isle of Capri. Now, who's for a foxtrot?
You work hard at your job. You perform your duties the best you can. You try to keep the home together because you believe in responsibilities, obligations, and good order. And then suddenly you realise that hair cracks are appearing everywhere, that control is slipping away, that the whole thing is so fragile that it can't be held together much longer. It's all about to collapse, Maggie.
There is nothing about to collapse.
That young Sweeney boy from the back hills, the boy that was anointed, his trousers didn't catch fire, as Rose said. They were doing some devilish thing with a goat, some sort of sacrifice for the festival of Lughnasa. And Sweeney was so drunk, he toppled into the middle of the fire, and I don't even know why that came into my head.
Kate!
And Mr. Evans is off again now for another 12 months. And next week, or the week after, Christina will collapse into one of her depressions. Remember last winter, all that sobbing and lamenting in the middle of the night, and I don't think I could go through that again. And the doctor said that he doesn't think Jack's mind is confused, but that his superiors probably had no choice but to send him home. Whatever does he mean by that, Maggie? And the parish priest did talk to me today. He said that the numbers in the school are falling, and there may not be a job for me after the summer. But the numbers in the school aren't falling, Maggie. Why is he telling me lies? Why does he want rid of me? And why has he never come out to see Father Jack? Oh, if he gives me the push, all 5 of us will be here all day at home together. We can spend all day dancing to Marconi. But what worries me most of all is Rose. If I die, if I lose my job, if this house gets broken up, what will become of our Rosie? I must put my trust in God, Maggie, mustn't I? He will look after her, Maggie, won't he? You believe that, Maggie, don't you?
Kate, love, Kate.
I believe it too, Maggie. I do, I believe it.
Well, son, now you got a good look at him. What do you think of him? Do you remember him?
I never seen him before.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. 5 or 6 times before. He saw you at the foot of the lane, Michael. He says you're gotten very tall, and he says you're handsome.
And Kate got me a spinning top that won't spin.
He's handsome. Isn't he handsome?
Give up.
I'll tell you a secret now, son. The others aren't so keep your mouth shut about it, okay? But he has got a fantastic new job, and he's just fabulous at it.
What does he do?
Oh, and another bit of good news for you. He's bought you a bike. It's a black bike, Michael, a man's bike. And he's going to bring it with him the next time he comes.
Is he coming back soon?
Maybe. Yes, he is, yes.
How soon?
Soon, Michael, soon. 4 weeks, 5 weeks, soon. Oh, you do have a handsome father. I am a lucky woman. And another bit of good news, lucky boy. You have got your mother's eyes.
Oh, what's the good news here? Oh, the good news here is that's the most exciting bit of talk we've ever burnt.
Gerry's not gone, is he?
Just this minute. He said to thank you very much, Kate, for the offer of the loft.
Next time.
That'll be in a few weeks now, depending on his commitments.
Well, if the outside loft happens to be free.
And he said to send his love to all of you, his special love to you, Eddie, and a big kiss.
To me.
To you.
Those are beautiful, Aggie. I wonder would Jack like some in his room? You could put some on his windowsill, and with a wee card saying roses, so the poor man's head won't be demented looking for the word. Now, our daily dilemma, what's for tea?
I'll make the tea today.
We'll both make the tea. Okay. Something thrilling with tomatoes. I have 2, I think. Or would you prefer to wait till I get the soda bread made?
I'm making the tea.
Let me. Come on, Agnes, just for today.
I make the tea every evening. Why shouldn't I make it this evening?
Hey.
No reason at all. Aggie's the chef. Everybody doing it. Then out and chewing it. Please. Well, if she knew her prayers half as well as she knows the words of those old pagan songs. Marconi, my friend, you're not still asleep, are you?
If anybody's looking for me, I'll be down by the bank of the river for the rest of the... I beg your pardon. Excuse me. It's Kate
It's Kate.
and Agnes and Margaret.
How are you, Jack?
And this is...
Christina.
Forgive me, Chris. You were only a baby when I went away. And I remember Mother lifting you up when the train was pulling out of the station and catching your hand and waving it at me. And you were so young, you scarcely had any hair, but she had managed to attach a tiny pink bow just about there. And when you raised your hand to wave at me, the bow fell off. It's like a picture, a camera picture. It's like a photograph. It's like a photograph in my mind.
Well, I'll tell you something, Jack. The hair isn't much better now.
And you were crying, Margaret,
Was I?
and your face was all blotchy from the tears.
Oh, to be sure, beautiful as ever.
And Agnes, you and Kate were on Mother's right, and Rose was between you, and you each had a hand. And Mother's face, I remember, it showed nothing. I often wondered about that afterwards.
That's because she knew she'd never again see you in her lifetime, Jack.
But in the other life, do you think perhaps Mother didn't believe in the ancestral spirits?
Ancestral? What are you blathering about, Jack? Mother was a saintly woman who knew she was going straight to heaven. And don't forget to take your medicine again tonight. You're supposed to take it 3 times a day.
One of our priests took so much quinine that he became addicted to it and he almost died. A German priest, Father Sharpegi, they rushed him to the hospital in Kampala, but they could do nothing for him. And a cow and I brought him to our local medicine man, and Carl Sharpegi lived until he was 88. There was a strange bird on my windowsill when I woke up this morning.
Oh, that's Rosie's pet rooster. Stay away from that thing now, Jack.
Look what he did to my arm, Jack. Took a look out of it. If I get him, I'll wring his neck for him.
That's what we do in Ryanga when we want to please the spirits or to appease them. We kill a rooster or a young goat. It's the most exciting exhibition. That's not the word. Demonstration, no. Show. What's the word I'm looking for? A spectacle. That's not it. The word to describe a sacred and mysterious. You have the ritual killing, the sacrifice, the dancing and the incantation. What's the name of that whole no, I've lost it, it's gone. My vocabulary has deserted me. Never mind, it's not important. I think I'll put more clothes on.
Did you speak Swahili out there all the time, Jack?
All the time, to the people, yes. Swahili. When Europeans called, we spoke English, or if we had a visitation from the district commissioner. The present commissioner knows Swahili, but he won't speak it. He's a very stubborn man, and he and I argue a lot, but I like him. The Irish outcast, he calls me. And he keeps inviting me to spend a weekend with him at his place in Kampala to prevent it from going native, he calls it. Perhaps I will when I go back. If you cooperate with the English, they give you lots of money for schools and churches and hospitals, but he gets very angry with me because I won't take his money. And last year he reported me to my superiors in the head house, and they were cross. They were very cross. But I do like him. And when I was leaving, when I was saying goodbye, he thought this was very funny. He gave me a present of the last governor's ceremonial hat to take. Ceremony. That's the word. Why could I not remember that? Ceremony. You did the sacrifice, the dancing, the ceremony. Such a simple word. What was I telling you?
You were saying about the district commissioner giving you the hat.
Oh yes, a wonderful triangular hat with 3 white ostrich plumes arising out of the crown. It's in one of my trunks. I'll show it to you later. Ceremony. I'm so glad I got that. Do you know what I found very strange? There were days coming home on the boat when I couldn't remember even the simplest words. Not that anybody noticed. And you can always point, Margaret, can't you?
Or make signs.
Or make signs.
Or dance.
What you must do is read a lot. Books, papers, magazines, anything. I read to young Michael every night. It is great for his vocabulary.
Maybe you're right, Kate. I'll do that. I haven't seen you, Michael, today, Agnes.
It's Chris. And he's out making kites, if you don't mind, Jack.
And I get to meet your husband.
I'm not married, Jack.
Oh.
Michael's father was here a while ago. Gerry Evans. Mr. Evans is a Welshman. Not that that's relevant.
So, you were never married?
Never, Jack, no.
So,
We're all in the same boat, Jack. We were thinking you'd hunt about and get meat for all of us.
so Michael is a love child.
so. Yes.
He's a fine boy,
He's not a bad boy now, Jack.
and you're lucky to have him.
We're all lucky to have him.
In Ryanga, women are eager to have love children. The more love children you have, the more fortunate your household is thought to be. Have you other love children?
She certainly has love, Jack. And neither has Agnes, or Maggie, or Rose, nor myself. No harm to Ryanga, but you're home in Donegal now, and much as we cherish love children, they are not exactly the norm. And the doctor said, if you don't exercise, your legs are going to seize up on you. So, I'm going to walk you down to the main road and back up again 3 times. Then you'll have your tea, then you'll read the paper from cover to cover, and then you'll have your medicine, and then you'll go to bed. And we'll do the same thing tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, until we get you back to what you were. Now, you go on ahead of me, and I'll follow you in a second. Where's my cardigan?
Some of Aunt Kate's foreboding wasn't all that inaccurate. Indeed, some of them would be fulfilled before the festival of Lughnasa was over. She was right about Father Jack. He had been sent home by his superiors, not because his mind was confused, but for reasons that were going to become clear as the summer drew to a close. And she was right about losing her job in the local school. The parish priest didn't take her back when the new term began, but that had more to do with Father Jack than the falling numbers. And she had good reason to be uneasy about Rose, and had she known about Agnes too. But what she couldn't have foreseen was that the home would break up quite so quickly. And when she would wake up one morning in early September, both Rose and Agnes would have left forever. But she was wrong about my father. I suppose their natures were so out of tune that she would always be wrong about my father, because he did come back in a couple of weeks, as he said he would. And even though my mother and he did not go through a conventional form of marriage, they danced once more, witnessed by unseen sisters. But this time it was a dance without music, just here, in ritual circles, round and round this square, then down the lane and back up again. Slowly, formally, with easy deliberation. My mother with her head thrown back, her eyes closed, her mouth slightly open. My father holding her just that little distance away from him, so he could regard her upturned face. No singing, no melody, no words. Just the swish and the whisper of their feet across the grass. I watched the ceremony from behind that bush, but this time they were only concerned of themselves and of their dancing. And when his time came to go and fight in the International Brigade, my mother grieved as any bride would grieve. But this time there was no sobbing, no lamenting, no collapse into a depression.
We'll leave these here where we found them, Jack, okay? They're not ours, they belong to the child. Now, we'll go for our walk.
Oh, play to me, gypsy, the moon's high above. Oh, play me your serenade, the one I love. Are you getting your books ready for school again?
School doesn't start for another 10 days.
God, I hated school. You and I have a little financial matter to discuss. Do you hear me, Cub?
I'm not listening.
You owe me money.
I do not.
I bet you 1 penny, 3 weeks ago, I bet you 1 penny that those old kites would never get off the ground, and they never did.
Because there was never enough wind, that's why.
Enough wind! Would you listen to him? A hurricane wouldn't shift those old things. Anyhow, a debt is a debt, 1 penny please at your convenience, or the equivalent in kind, 1 wild woodbine. Beside your
I'll leave you
caravan,
alone, Aunt Maggie.
your campfire's bright. I'll be your vagabond just for tonight.
And look at what you made me do. The page is all blotted.
Your frank opinion cup. Am I vagabond material?
Get out of my road. I'm trying to write a letter here.
Who to? That's for me to know and you to find out. Well, whoever it is, he need to be very smart to read that scrawl.
It's to Santa Claus.
In September. Well, nothing like getting in before the rush. And what are we asking for?
A bill.
A bed.
For my bicycle.
For your bicycle.
The bicycle my daddy bought me, stupid.
Your daddy bought you a bicycle.
He told me today he bought it in Kilkenny, so there.
Your daddy told you that?
Ask him yourself. It's coming next week. It's a flat bike, a man's bike.
Well, aren't you the lucky boy?
It's going to be delivered here to the house. He promised me.
Well, if he promised you. Now, who am I going to get to teach you to ride?
I know how to ride.
No, you do not.
I learned at school last Easter, so there, but you can ride.
I can so.
You cannot.
Well, maybe not by myself, but put me up in the bar, come. Magnificent.
You never sat in the bar of a bike in your life, Aunt Maggie.
Oh, yes, I did, Michael. Indeed, I did. I did. Now, come on. Off with you. You can write to Santa some other time. On a day like this, you should be running around the fields like a young calf. Go on. Oh, hold on a minute. I've a new riddle for you.
Give up.
A man goes to an apple tree with 2 apples on it. He doesn't take apples off, and he doesn't leave apples on. How do you see to that?
Give up.
What do you think?
Give up.
Okay, since you don't know, I will tell you. He takes 1 apple off, he doesn't take apples off, and he doesn't leave apples on. Get it?
God.
You might as well be talking to the chuff stack.
Did I hear a church bell ringing?
Yes, a big posh wedding today, Jack.
Not one of my sisters.
No such luck. A man called Austin Morgan and a girl from Corrigfat.
Austin Morgan. Should I know that name?
No, I don't think so. They own the arcade in the town, Jack. And how are you today?
Cold as usual, Margaret, and complaining about it as usual.
Or should complain away. Why wouldn't you? And you know what, it is getting colder. But you're getting stronger every day, Jack.
And I feel stronger too. I'm off now for my final walk of the day.
Number 3.
Number 4, down past the clothesline, across the stream, around by the old well, and up to the meadow, and when that's done, Kate won't have to nag at me. Nag. Nag. That sounds funny. Is nag a word?
Nag. Yes. It means to keep on at somebody.
Good. My vocabulary is coming back. Still sounds funny. Nag.
Time for another walk, Jack.
Just about to set out in number 4, Kate, and thank you for keeping at me.
Rose and Agnes aren't back yet.
They'll be here. They said they'll be here for tea. They're away picking bilberries.
Oh, you used to pick bilberries, Jack. Do you remember?
Down by the old quarry.
Yes.
The very place.
Mother and myself, every Lughnasa, the annual ritual. Of course I remember that. And then she'd make the most wonderful jam.
Oh.
And that's what you took to school with you every day throughout the winter. A piece of soda bread and bilberry jam.
But no butter.
Except on special occasions when you had scones, and,
Yeah.
and for some reason they were always buttered. I must walk down by the old quarry one of these days. Oh, ruddier than the cherry, oh, sweeter than the berry, oh, nymph more bright than moonshine night, like kidlings blithe and merry. Where on earth did that come from? But it is coming back to me, Kate. It's coming back.
So you'll soon begin saying Mass again?
Mass? Yes, indeed.
Here in the house, Jack.
Yes, why not? Maybe next Monday. The neighbours would join us, would they?
Well, they surely would. A lot of them have already been asking me.
How would we let them know?
Oh, you needn't worry about that, Jack. Word gets around very quickly.
What a coward does. You know a coward, don't you?
Your houseboy.
My friend, my mentor, my counsellor, and yes, my houseboy as well. Anyhow, a cow summons our people by striking this huge iron gong. Did you hear that church bell this morning, Kate?
Yes.
Well, the sound of a cow's gong would carry 4 times as far as that. And if it's an important ceremony, he'll spend the whole day going around to the neighbouring villages, blowing on this enormous flute that he made himself.
And did they all come and meet you in your church, Jack?
When I had a church, yes. Now we meet in a common in the middle of the village, and if it's an important ceremony, you'll have 300 or 400 people there.
All gathered together for mass.
Maybe, or maybe to offer sacrifice to Obi, the great goddess of the earth, so the crops would flourish. Or maybe to get in touch with our departed fathers for their wisdom and advice. Or maybe to thank the spirits of our own tribe if they have been good to us, or to appease them if they're angry. I complain to a cow that our calendar of ceremonies gets fuller every year. Now, at this time of year over there, Ugandan harvest time, we have 2 magnificent ceremonies, the festival of the new yam and the festival of the sweet cassava. And these 2 festivals are dedicated to our great goddess Obi.
But these aren't Christian ceremonies, Jack, are they?
No. The Ryangans have always been faithful to their own beliefs, like these 2 festivals I'm telling you about. 2 wonderful ceremonies. Have I described those 2 before?
Not to me.
Well, they begin very formally and solemnly with the ritual sacrifice of a goat or a fowl or a calf down on the bank of the river. And then you have the ceremonial anointing and cutting of the first yam and the first cassava. And these are passed around in huge wooden bowls. And then you have the incantation. It's a chant really to express our gratitude. And when the Thanksgiving is finished, the dancing continues. And the interesting thing is, it grows naturally into a secular celebration, so that almost imperceptibly, the religious ceremony ends and the community celebration takes over. And that part of the ceremony is a real spectacle. And we light fires around the periphery of the circle, and we paint our faces in coloured powder, and we sing local songs and drink palm wine. And then they dance and dance and dance. Men, women, children, mostly lepers, some with misshapen limbs or some without limbs, dancing, believe it or not, for days on end. It's the most wonderful sight you have ever seen. And that palm wine, they dole it out in large horns and you lose all sense of time. Now, what brought all that on? You'll have to stop me telling these long-winded stories. Anyhow, exercise time, back in 10 minutes. And Kate, to think that last week it was taking me a half hour to do number 4. So thank you for nagging at me. It's not Gilbert and Sullivan, is it?
Sorry?
That quotation.
What's that, Jack?
Or ruddier than the cherry, or sweeter than the berry. No, it's not Gilbert and Sullivan. But it's all coming back to me, Kate, I promise you.
Jack, you are
Yes.
going to start saying mass again.
We agreed on next Monday, didn't we, Maggie?
Yes.
Yes, at first light, as soon as Rose's cock crows, the harvest festival. You'll have to find a big gong somewhere, Kate.
I told you. You wouldn't believe me. I told you. What do you think?
Well, he's not back a month yet, Kate.
Yesterday I heard about the medicine man who brought a woman back from death.
Yeah, but he needs more time.
And this morning it was the spirits of the tribe. And when I asked him about mass, you saw how he dodged around.
Well, he did say he'd say mass next Monday, Kate.
No, he won't. You know he won't, Maggie. He's changed.
Well, in another month he'll be...
Completely changed. He's not our Jack at all. And it's what he's changed into that frightens me.
Well, it doesn't frighten me.
If you saw your face, of course it does. Oh, dear God.
Kate. Well, Kate, it's not a sight I'd like to see.
What sight?
A clatter of lepers trying to do the military two-step.
God forgive you, Maggie Monday. Those creatures are just as entitled to their... Oh, this must not go outside the house. Not a word of this must go outside. Not a syllable. Do you hear me, Maggie?
Oh, No false modesty, you know you're a great dancer.
Ah, no, I'm not.
You should be a professional dancer.
You're talking rubbish.
Let's dance around the garden.
We did that, Gerry, and then down the lane and back up the lane and around the well without music. Will you tell me again about signing up?
I'm telling you, it was unbelievable.
And was it really in a church?
It was a Catholic church, as a matter of interest. Would I tell you a lie?
You would?
Up at the end, in the sanctuary, there were 3 men, 2 of them in trench coats, and between them, wearing a sort of a military hat, was this little chap who spoke in an accent I could hardly understand. Naturally, I thought he was Spanish. From our mouths, it turned out.
I'm sure he couldn't understand you either.
Well, he described himself as a recruiting officer. Take it from me, comrade. Nobody joins the brigade without my approval.
It is a wonder so they accepted you.
Do you pledge your full endeavours, your loyalty and your allegiance to the Popular Front?
What's the Popular Front?
Well, that's the Spanish government I'm going to keep in power. I take it you're a syndicalist? No. An anarchist? No. A communist? No. A Republican, a socialist, a Marxist? No. Do you speak Spanish? No. Can you make explosives? No. Can you ride a motorbike? Oh, yes. Sign here. You're in.
Let me get this straight, so Gerry. You're going to be a dispatch rider.
Brum, brum.
And you're going to leave on Saturday.
First time.
How long will you be away?
As long as it takes to sort the place out.
Seriously, Gerry.
Just a few months at the most, Chrissy. Everybody says it will be over by Christmas.
They always say it'll be over by Christmas, Gerry. I don't know why you're going.
Not so sure I know myself, but who wants salesmen who can't sell, huh? And there must be something right about the cause, mustn't there? And you know, it's simply somewhere to go. I mean, maybe that is what is important to a man, is a named destination. Ballybeg, democracy, heaven. You know, women aren't so easily satisfied in their illusions. They make for better drifters. Anyhow, he handed me a pen, and he told me to sign upon the dotted line, and it was then, Chrissy, and only then, that I glanced over the lectern he was standing behind, and I saw the box.
What box, Gerry?
He was standing on a box. The chappie was a midget. No more than 3 feet tall.
Gerry Evans.
I promise you, Chrissy. And when we were having a drink afterwards, he told me he was invaluable to the brigade. Because he was a master at disguising himself.
Gerry Evans, you are
Let's go down to the old well, huh?
We're going nowhere. Actually, come on in and have a look at this wireless. It's stopping and starting whenever it feels like it.
Chrissy, I told you I know nothing about radios.
Gerry, you can try. Come on, please.
Chrissy, I don't even know
I
how to
told
turn
him
the
you're a
thing.
genius. Come on, Mike and Mrs. Come on. We saw Father Jack, Kate, striding through the meadow. He really is looking wonderful. We've done a fantastic job with him.
Were you talking to him?
Well, yes, and he wants to do a swap with me, actually. I'm to give him this hat, and he is to give me a 3-cornered hat with feathers that a district commissioner gave to him. Seems a fair exchange.
Chrissy said you great with radios, Gerry.
Well, I'll take a look. Why not, huh?
Well, I can tell you it isn't the battery anyway, because I got a new one yesterday.
I'll tell you what, Maggie, let me check the aerial first. Very often that is where the trouble lies, and if it's not the aerial, I'll have a look at the ignition and the sparking plugs. Just leave it to Gerry, huh?
He's very knowledgeable, isn't he?
It may be something now that he can't fix.
Look, Christina, I know you're not responsible for Gerry's decisions, but it would be on my conscience if I didn't tell you how strongly I object to this international brigade caper. It's a sorry day for Ireland when we send young men off to fight for godless communism.
For democracy, Kate.
I'm not going to argue, I just want to clear my conscience.
And isn't that the important thing for a woman like yourself? A clear conscience. And now you've cleared it. Excellent.
Turn the radio on, Chrissy, would you?
It's on.
Radio.
Just as we were coming back from town, we bumped into, you know, the knitting agent, Fear McLaughlin. Agnes and Rose, are they back yet?
They'll be here soon.
Well, she says she'll come tomorrow to tell them herself, but she was very, very distressed.
Tell them what?
She's not going to be buying any more of their handmade gloves.
Why not?
Well, she says that they're too dear.
Too dear. She pays them a pittance.
I know. There's a factory that started up in Donegal. They can make the gloves far more quickly and far more cheaply using machines in the factory. So the suppliers now are buying directly from the factory, meaning all the home knitters are out of work. She's advised lots of the home knitters to sign on and get jobs in the factory. She's going to advise Agnes and Rose the same.
That's awful news, Chrissy.
I know. And to add to it, there are buses up and down to Donegal every day, morning, noon and night, to ferry the workers. As I said, she's going to advise Agnes and Rose to get the job there. And she herself, she tried to sign on and get a job there. They told her she was too old for a job in the factory. The poor woman is 41 years.
Poor Agnes, poor Rose, what do they do?
She was so distressed.
Shh, don't. We'll tell them later. Let them have their tea in peace.
Wow, 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 who is that beautiful woman?
Gerry,
I'm up here, Raggy.
where?
I am on top of the sycamore.
Mother of God.
Well, do come up and join me.
What are you doing up there?
You can see into the future from up here, Raggy.
Ah, that tree isn't safe now, Gerry. Please, come down.
Come up and see what's going to happen to you.
The branch is dead, Gerry, I'm telling you.
Do you think I could get a job in the circus, huh?
Ah, Gerry, will you stop it? Stop it, Gerry, will you stop it?
He flies through the air with the greatest of ease.
Do you know what? You're going to fall now, and I'm not looking.
The daring young man on the flying trapeze.
Fall, and I'm not watching another bit. Chrissy, that clown of a man is up on top of the sycamore tree. You go out and tell him, come down.
He's fixing the aerial.
Well, he's going to break his neck, I'm telling you.
Well, as long as he fixes the wireless first.
How are the bilberries, Agnes?
Ah, so they were a bit too ripe. We should have picked them a week ago.
Agnes, is that a purple stain on your Kenzie?
I know. Sure, I'd only be gone when I fell into the bush. And look at my hands, all scrapped with briars. From all the sympathy I got from Rose. Nearly died laughing, she did. How is she now anyway? She's still in the bed.
Bed?
Yeah, she wasn't feeling very well, so she left me and came home to lie down. She's here, isn't she?
I haven't seen her. Have you?
No.
When did she leave you?
Hours ago. Almost immediately after we got to the old quarry. She said she felt out of sorts.
And she left you to go off home by herself?
Yes.
To come home?
Yes.
Well, she's not there.
Oh my God, where is she? Where's Rosie?
Start at the beginning, Agnes. What exactly happened?
Nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. We left here, what time was it? It was around 1 o'clock.
Agnes, that means she's missing for over 3 hours now.
As we were walking away, as usual, to the quarry, she's chatting away. And I had my 2 buckets, and she had her 2
Yeah,
cans.
go on.
And just after we got there, she said she wasn't feeling very well. So I said, you know what now, Rosie? Forget about the bilberries altogether. Just sit in the sun for a while. But that's what she did.
For how long?
I don't know, 5, 10 minutes. And then I fell into the bush. And that was when she laughed. And then she said something, oh, I forgot now, something about a headache and her tummy being sick and she'd come home and sleep for a while. Maggie, are you sure she's not in her bed?
And then what?
Oh God, where is she?
What direction did she go when she left? Stop snivelling, Agnes. Did she go towards home?
I think so, yes. I don't know, Maggie.
Well, she might be in the town.
No, our Rosie wouldn't have gone into town in her Wellingtons.
She was wearing her good shoes.
Are you sure?
Yes, and her blue cardigan and her good skirt. And I said to her, well, I said, aren't you so late now to be going picking bilberries with? And she just laughed and said, oh, I'm some tough, Aggie, haven't I? I'm some tough.
Had she a bottle of milk with her?
Yes.
Had she any money in
Yes,
her?
one of her cans.
And had she money on?
She'd half a crown, but that's all she has.
Danny Bradley.
What? Who?
Danny Bradley Lughnasa up in the back hills.
Oh, God, Maggie,
What's
no!
this about the back hills?
Look, Kate, she has some silly notion about that Bradley creature. She says that he's in love with her. She was saying that he bought her a necklace last Christmas.
What do you know about this Bradley creature?
All I know is what Chris said.
I've often seen you and Rose whispering together. What plot has been hatched between Rose and Mr. Bradley?
There's no plot, please.
You're lying to me, Agnes. You're withholding.
Honest to God, all I know is what Chris has just said.
I want to know everything.
That's enough. That's enough. Stop it at once. She may be in the town. She may be on her way home right now. She may have got a wee turn coming back from the quarry. We're going to find her. You search the fields on the upper side of the lane. You go to the lower side, right down to the main road. You go to the old well and search all around there. While I go into town to tell the police.
Oh, you're going to know police, Maggie. If she's mixed up with this Bradley creature, I'm not having spread all around the town.
I'm going to the police. You do what I told you to do.
Look, here she is. There's Rosie.
Rosie, love, we were beginning to get worried about you.
They're nice, Aggie. They're sweet. And you got 2 canfuls. Good for you.
Is your stomach settled?
My stomach?
You weren't feeling well, remember when we were down at the quarry?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm fine now, thanks.
You left me there and you said you'd come home to lie down. Do you remember that?
Yes.
But you didn't come home, Rosie.
And we were very worried about you.
Well, here I am.
You went into town, Rose, didn't you?
That's why you're all dressed up.
You went into Ballybeg, Rose, Monday.
She's safe. She's home now. That's all that matters. Now, I don't know about you girls, but this chicken is wasting the hunger. Let me tell you what's on the menu this evening. Our beverage is the usual hot sweet tea. We have a choice between caraway seed bread or soda bread, straight from the chef's oven. But there's where we come to the difficulty. We've only 3 eggs between the 7 of us. I wish to God you persuaded the rooster to lay eggs, Rosie.
There are 8 of us, Margaret.
How about that? Oh, of course, the soldier up the sycamore. Not a great lad, but a nice challenge to someone like myself. Right, my suggestion is eggs Ballybeg. In other words, scrambled and served on lightly toasted caraway seed bread, followed by those so inclined by 1 magnificent wild woodbine. Everybody happy?
Excellent, Margaret.
Settled.
Next Sunday, Rosie, we'll go picking more bilberries.
All right.
Your 2 cans, Rosie. I made you your own 2 cans. Did you take them with you?
Where to, Aggie?
Well, like into the town or wherever you went.
I left them at the quarry. I put them behind a stone wall. They're safe, dear. I'll go back again later on and pick them up. Does anybody know where my overall is?
The line above across your bed, Rosie. And you want to be bringing in some turf.
I'll change first, Maggie.
Be quick about it.
How many slices of toast do you want?
All that, love. Go easy on the butter because that's all we have. Now, a bit of parsley and only a whiff of basil. I don't want you girls to be getting too optimistic, although I feel very creative this evening myself.
I want to know where you've been, Rose. You've been gone for the entire afternoon, and I want you to tell me where you've been.
Leave it, Kate, after.
You have been missing for over 3 hours. Where have you been?
Lughnasa.
I didn't hear what you said, Rose.
Lughnasa.
Please walk
leave it.
from the quarry to Lughnasa.
Yes.
Did you meet somebody there?
Yes.
Had you arranged to meet somebody there?
I had arranged to meet Danny Bradley, dear Kate. He took me out in his father's blue boat. I don't want anything to eat, Maggie. I took a bottle of milk with me and a packet of chocolate biscuits, and we had a picnic beside the lake. Then we went up to the back hills. He showed me what was left of the Lughnasa fires. A few of them are still burning way up there. Then we passed Jim Sweeney's house. You know the boy that got burnt? The boy that you said was dying? Well, he's on the mend. Danny says his legs will be scarred, but he'll be all right. It's such a peaceful place up there in the back hills. There was nobody there at all, myself and Danny. He calls me his rosebud. I told you that before, didn't I, Aggie? And then we walked down as far as the workhouse, and I came home by myself. And that's all I'm going to tell you. That's all any of you are ever going to hear.
Mother of God, what has happened to this house? Will we ever again be able to lift our heads ever again?
The following night, Vera McLaughlin arrived and explained to Agnes and Rose why she wouldn't be buying their hand-knitted gloves anymore. Most of her home knitters had already begun work in the new factory, and she advised Agnes and Rose to apply immediately. The Industrial Revolution had finally caught up with Ballybay, but they didn't apply, even though they had no other means of making a living. And they didn't discuss their situation with their sisters. Perhaps Agnes made the decision for both of them because she knew Rose wouldn't get a job there anyway. Or perhaps, as Kate believed, because Agnes was too notionate to work in a factory. Or perhaps they both just wanted away. Anyhow, on my first day back at school, when we went into the kitchen for breakfast, there was a note propped up against the milk jug. "We are gone for good. This is best for all. Do not try and find us." It was written in Agnes's resolute hand. Of course, we did try and find them, and so did the police, and so did our neighbours who had a huge network of relatives all over England and America. But they had vanished without a trace. And when I was able to track them down, some 25 years later, in London, Agnes was dead, and Rose was in a hospice dying for the destitute in South Wark. The scraps of information I gathered about their lives during those missing years were too sparse to be coherent. They had moved about a lot, working as cleaning women, in public toilets, in factories, in the underground. Then when Rose could no longer get work, Agnes tried to support them both, but couldn't. From then on, I gathered they gave up. They turned to drink, slept in doorways, in parkways, on the Thames embankment. Then Agnes died of exposure, and 2 days after I found Rose in that grim hospice, she didn't recognize me, of course. She died in her sleep. Father Jack's health improved quite quickly, and soon he recovered his full vocabulary and all his old bounce and vigours. But he didn't say Mass that following Monday. In fact, he never said Mass again, and the neighbours stopped inquiring about him, and his name never again appeared in the Donegal Enquirer. Or there was never a civic reception with flags and bands and speeches. But he never lost his determination to return to Uganda, and he still talked passionately about his life there with the lepers. And each new anecdote contained more revelation, and each new revelation startled, shocked, stunned poor Aunt Kate, until finally she struck on a phrase that appeased her. His own distinctive spiritual search, leaping around the fire and offering a little hymn to Oku or Itu or whatever it may be, is not religion as I was taught it, or indeed know it, she would say with a defiant toss of her head. But Father Jack had to find his own spiritual search. And when he died suddenly of a heart attack, within 1 year of his homecoming, on the very eve of that following Lughnasa, my mother and Maggie mourned him sorely, but for months Kate was inconsolable. My father sailed for Spain that Saturday. The last I remember of him is dancing down the lane in imitation to Fred Astaire, swinging his walking stick, Father Jack's ceremonial tricorn at a jaunty angle over his left eye. When he got to the main road, he stopped and turned, and with both hands he blew a dozen theatrical kisses back to Mother and me. He was wounded in Barcelona. He fell from his motorbike, so that for the rest of his life he walked with a limp. The limp wasn't disabling, but it put an end to his dancing days, and that really distressed him. Even the role of named veteran, which he loved, could never compensate for that. He still visited us occasionally, perhaps once a year, each time he was on the brink of a new career, and each time he proposed to Mother and promised me a new bike. But then the war came in 1939, and his visits became more infrequent, until finally he stopped visiting altogether. Sometime in the mid-50s, I got a letter from a little village in the south of Wales, a cut note from a young man of my own age, and also called Michael Evans. He had found my name and address among the belongings of his father, Gerry Evans. He introduced himself as my half-brother and wanted me to know that Gerry Evans, the father we shared, had passed away peacefully in their family home that previous week. In his violent illness, he was nursed by his wife and his 3 grown children, who all lived and worked in that village. My mother never knew of that letter. I decided to tell her, decided not to, vacillated for years, as my father would have done. Then, rightly or wrongly, decided to keep the information to myself.
Well, at least that's a bit of good news, right?
What's that?
The young Sweeney boy, he's going to live. Going to be all right.
That's great news.
Now, where has that Michael fella got to? You know, that young fella always disappears when there's work to be done. Michael! We need some turf brought in, Michael! Are you still up there?
Don't stand there, I might fall on top of you.
Have you any idea what you're doing?
Come on up here to me.
I'm sure I will.
You know, we never did make love on top of the sycamore tree.
Jesus Christ almighty. Will you come down from there, Gerry? Do you know what? You're going to fall and break your neck. And I'll tell you something. It'll only be too good for you. Oh. Well, he really does know how to disappear when there's work to be done.
I had a brilliant idea when I woke up this morning, Aggie. I thought to myself, what is it that Ballybeg hasn't got, Ballybeg badly needs?
A riddle. Give up.
A dressmaker. So why doesn't Agnes Mundy with such clever hands, why don't she dressmake?
Clever hands.
You get a pile of work, they'd come from far and wide, you'd make a fortune.
Some fortune now in Ballybeg.
And not alone would the work be interesting, you wouldn't be ruining your eyes staring at green wool 8 hours a day. Have you noticed how Rosie squints at everything now? I'm telling you, Aggie, it's the job for you. Oh God, girls, don't say I'm out of thanks. How could that have happened? Chrissy, you're a genius. Look at that, Kate. Misery. It must be down. Happiness. Want to try Kitty?
What's keeping those wonderful eggs Ballybeg, my dear?
If I was to choose between one wild woodbine and say a man of 52, a widower, plump, what would I choose, Kate? I'd choose Fatso, wouldn't I? Oh God, I am getting desperate. Maybe I should go back to Ryandu with you, Jack.
I know you won't, Maggie, but I know you'd love it if you did.
Could you guarantee a man for each of us?
I couldn't guarantee 4 men, but I could get one husband for the 4 of you.
Could we settle for that?
Good men between all 4 of us.
Well, that's our system and it works very well. One of you would be his principal wife and live with him in his largest hut.
That'll be you, Kate.
And the other 3, he'd keep in his enclosure. It would be like the 3 of you living on the same small farm.
Snug enough, girls, isn't it? And what would our duties be?
Washing, sewing, helping with the crops, cooking, the usual household chores.
Well, should we do that anyway?
And looking after his children.
That he'd have by Kate.
He'd have by all 4 of you. And what's so efficient about that system is that the husband and his wives and his children that form a small commune where everybody helps everybody else and looks after them. And I must admit, I'm totally in favour of it.
Well, you may be in favour of it, Jack, and it may be efficient, but I don't think it's exactly what Pope Pius XI considers to be the holy sacrament of matrimony. So it might be better if you paid a little more attention to our Holy Father and a little less to the great goddess Iggy.
Oh, listen. And you don't have hens out there, Jack?
We're overrun with hens, Margaret.
Don't dismiss it. It has its points. Would you be game, Kate?
Well, I'm not listening to a word you're saying.
Jerry, how's it going?
And tell me, Jack, what is Swahili for? Chug, 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 chug.
Is it any good?
Love the kind of
Jerry,
cake.
I'm not listening to anything about it.
Aha, leave it to the expert, huh?
Gerry, my friend, I have something for you.
What's that, Jack?
The tricorn hat, the plumed hat. We leave the spot, remember?
Ah, yes.
Back in a minute.
Great work, Jerry.
I thought it might be the area. Very often that is where the trouble lies. Your troubles are now over. Agnes Mundy, that's it.
Don't you ever get sense now, Cherry Evans?
Oh, come on, Agnes, please.
Come on, Agnes. Go and dance with him.
What's we dance now?
Well, take my hand, Agnes.
Come on,
You're a superb dancer, Agnes.
No, I'm not now.
You should be a professional dancer.
It's too late for that.
You could give dancing lessons in Ballybeg.
That's all they need now in Ballybeg, Jerry.
Maybe it is. There she is, back safe and sound.
Oh, I wish I could dance like you, Aggie.
You're showing the breath now after that.
Doesn't she dance elegantly?
Our Aggie always did.
Now, Chrissy, you and I.
Not now, Jerry.
Oh, come on, Chrissy, once around the floor.
Not now, I said. Are you kidding?
I dance with you, Jerry. Come on. Come on. Do you want to see class, Jerry?
I certainly do, Maggie.
Get back, girls. A Cherry Temple needs a lot of space. Hold on tight now, Jerry. My legs are...
In olden times, as lips of stocking was looked on.
That's something shocking, but now
God knows.
anything goes.
Oh, what happened, huh?
What are you at there, Chrissy?
It's off now. You're only wasting the battery. We won't get new ones till the weekend, so it's off now, and that's that.
Well, it wasn't to be, Jerry, but some other day.
Oh, that's a promise, Maggie. That's a promise. It's not a bad set, that, huh?
Thanks be to goodness for that. Do you know what that thing has done? Killed all Christian conversation in this country.
Vera McLaughlin is coming here tomorrow, and she wants to talk to you and Rose.
What about? I didn't tell you, did I? Her daughter's got engaged.
Which one?
Oh, the harvest dance is going to be just some cream this year, Miss Monday. That little brat.
Sophia. But she's still at school.
Left last year. She's 15. And the lucky boy is 16.
Holy God, girls, we might as well pack it in.
15 and 16. Don't tell me that's not totally indecent. It's the poor mothers I feel sorry for.
What does she want to talk to us about?
Look, I don't know, Agnes. It didn't sound that important. Look, she mightn't even call. I wouldn't worry about it. Now, Maggie and Gerry, I'll turn on the wireless and you can dance away again.
Artists like Margaret Mundy can't perform on demand, Chrissy. We have to be in touch with the other forces first. Isn't that right, Jerry?
Oh, absolutely, Maggie. I do wonder why there is no sound.
Maggie, are we never going to eat?
Indeed we are. Outside in the garden. Lughnasa is almost over, girls. So, we might make use of the many warm evenings that's left.
That is a great idea, Maggie.
Yes.
I'll get the cups and the plates.
Are you all right?
I turned it on, Gerry. All I did was turn it on.
Have I done something wrong?
Jerry, will you take out the chair there, please?
Oh, right here, Maggie. Oh. What about the table?
No, I threw out the tablecloth on the ground, thank you.
Well, at least we know it's not the area.
According to you, that is.
And if it's not the area, the next thing to check is the ignition, you see.
Ignition. Would you listen to that bluffer? Ignition.
Oh, bluffer. That's not fair. This is Agnes. Bluffer. Well, let's take the back off and see see what's what, shall we?
Rosie, love, what is it?
My rooster's dead!
Oh, Rosie.
Look at him, he's dead!
What happened to him, Rosie?
The fox, Mr. Fox! Maggie, you warned me about the fox! That's stealing my fingers!
And what about the hens?
They're all right.
Did someone leave the door open?
No, they're safe. They're all right.
Well, that in itself.
We'll get you a new rooster, Rosie.
And we do. I put manners on it early on.
It doesn't matter. I don't want another.
Oh, Rosie. Oh, Rosie. Well, we can hardly expect him to lay for us now.
Do you know what? That Michael still hasn't that turf brought in. And Gerry, he's out there watching us, laughing. Michael! We're waiting for that turf, Michael!
What are we missing, girls? Knives, forks, plates.
Gerry, my friend, where are you? Ah, there you are.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph!
We're out here, Jack.
I put on my ceremonial clothes for the formal exchange. Wonderful uniform, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely marvellous. I could do with that for Spain.
It was my uniform when I served as captain to the British Army during the Great War.
We know only too well what it is, Jack.
But it is splendid, isn't it? At least it was splendid. A cowboy keeps dressing up in it. I really should give it to him to keep.
It's not at all suitable for this climate, Jack.
I know, Kate, but just for the exchange, I'll change back afterwards. Now, at home what we do, when we have a swap or a barter, I place my possession on the ground, like that, and you do likewise. Now you step away from it. Now that's a symbolic distancing of yourself from what you once possessed. Now you turn around, like this, a complete circle. Now, that's the formal rejection of what you once had and which you no longer lay claim to. Now, you cross over to where I stand, and I go to the position you have just left. The exchange is now formally and irrevocably complete. This is my straw hat, and that's your tricorn hat. Try it on. Ah, splendid. It suits you. Doesn't it suit him?
His head's too big.
Well, how's that? Is this better, Agnes?
Ah, it's lovely, Gerry.
In olden times, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking, but now God knows, everything knows.
How's that, Gerry? Oh, little further back?
Back, Jack, yes.
Good.
Will you look at them?
Splendid.
Strutting about like a pair of peacocks. Now, tea time, girls.
I'll make the tea.
You can start tomorrow. Let us finish off Lughnasa. Chrissy, put on Marconi.
I think it's broken, Maggie.
But Gerry, you fixed that, didn't you?
Yes, I did, but then Chrissy got at it again.
Possessed, that thing is, if you ask me.
I do wish you wouldn't use words like that, Christina.
Possessed.
There's still great heat in the sun, isn't there?
Great harvest weather.
I love September.
Come on, cooking time, girls.
Oh no, wait a while, Maggie. Enjoy the last bit of sun that's there.
Rosie, love, next Sunday,
What's next Sunday, Aggie?
we'll go picking more bilberries.
Yes, whatever you say, Aggie.
Well, not bad for a kid of 7, very neatly made.
Look at the artwork.
Wow, 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 these are unbelievable.
I keep telling his mother she has a very talented son.
So there you are now, Mr. Evans.
Have you all seen these?
I hate them.
Well, I think they're just wonderful. Look at these, Jack. You know, I'll tell you one thing. This boy isn't going to end up selling gramophones.
Work. Sure, Michael vanishes the minute there's any work to be done. Michael! The turf!
I've a new riddle for you. Why is the gramophone like a parrot?
Oh, Maggie.
Because a parrot. Oh God, I've forgotten it.
Oh, man.
As I say, Father Jack was dead within 12 months, and with him and Agnes and Rose all gone, the heart seemed to go out of the house. Maggie took on the task Agnes and Rose had done and pretended to believe that nothing had changed. My mother spent the rest of her life in the knitting factory and hated every day of it. And after a few years of doing nothing, Aunt Kate got the job of tutoring the young family of Austin Morgan from the arcade. But much of the spirit and fun had gone out of their lives. And when my time came to go away, in the selfish way of young men, I was happy to escape. And so, when I cast my mind back to the summer of 1936, different memories offer themselves to me. But there is one memory of that Lughnasa time that visits me most often. And what fascinates me about that memory is that it owes nothing to fact. In that memory, atmosphere is more real than incident, and everything is simultaneously actual and illustrated. In that memory too, the air is nostalgic with the music of the 30s. It drifts in from somewhere far away. A mirage of sound, a dream music that is both heard and imagined, that seems to be itself and its own echo. A sound so alluring and so mesmeric that the afternoon is bewitched, maybe haunted by it. And what is so strange about that memory is that everyone seems to be floating on those sweet sounds, moving rhythmically, languorously, in complete isolation, responding more to the mood of the music than to the beat. When I remember it, I think of it as dancing. Dancing with eyes half closed, because to open them would break the spell. Dancing as if language had surrendered to movement, as if this ritual, this wordless ceremony was now the way to speak, to whisper private and sacred things, to be in touch with some otherness. Dancing as if the very heart of life and all its hopes would be found in those assuring notes, and in those hushed rhythms, and in those silent and hypnotic movements. Dancing as if language no longer existed, because words were no longer necessary.
Thank you everyone, you've been a fantastic audience. We really hope you enjoyed our production. I'd like now to introduce the cast to you. So on at the far end, Michael was played by Shane Tierney. Sorry, Shane McHenry. My second night doing that.
This jinx.
Agnes, played by Anne-Marie Horgan. Maggie, played by Teresa O'Halloran. Kitty, played by Julie Maloney. Gerry, played by Tom Collins. Kate, played by Nora Hunt. Rosie, played by Mary Ellen Tierney. And Father Jack, played by Tom O'Keefe. A lot of time and effort and hard work has gone into this production, especially during COVID. And we are very lucky to have such a great cast, but we're equally fortunate to have such a large crew, and they're all listed in the programme tonight. One person that's missing is our ever reliable sound and lighting guy, Declan O'Carroll, so thank you very much. The casts were directed by Tommy Dinahan, who brought his vision of the play to life tonight. And thank you, Tommy, for your dedication. And finally, to the man that kind of pulls the whole thing together, who's always there for everyone, is our producer, Damien Hurley. That's one final round of applause.